Remember the New York City migrant situation, and it's getting kind of bad, and how New York's running out of space? It was initially mostly in Manhattan. That's where most of the migrant situation was taking place. But now it's slowly spreading to the other boroughs and other neighborhoods, which many of these guys don't want to deal with this, right? Harlem actually protested about that, and they actually won. And the mayor actually had to visit them because many Harlem residents were actually super mad that they even thought of the idea of turning one of their empty luxury condo buildings into a migrant shelter instead of turning it into affordable housing made a lot of Harlem residents mad. And now we got the boys over at Park Slope. If you check on Zillow, this is a very nice place in Brooklyn. If you want to buy property here, a condo, one bed will set you back 1.2 million. And you can clearly see that this is a very nice place to live. And people call this kind of like the dog area of New York City. You have a lot of people in Park Slope with strollers. You got a lot of people here with dogs, a lot of yuppies, stuff like that. It's like a nice, almost like a suburban feel in big New York City. And now they're about to be turned into a massive migrant shelter, which many Park Slope residents are very mad about that. They don't want this. This is a very small neighborhood that are just mostly consist of brownstones. So it's not like the big skyscrapers and big hotels like Manhattan. Park Slope is frankly a pretty small place in the overall picture of New York City. I've been there. It's basically just full of townhouses, maybe the occasional big high rise, but that's really it. I don't really think Park Slope is the best place to open a migrant shelter, and many residents are super duper mad about this, right? Not to mention, many residents are already furious about the whole migrant crisis, which will be costing $12 billion in the next year and a half. And this is what the East Village looks like now. This is the East Village of Manhattan, another very nice neighborhood, now just turned to a massive migrant shelter. You have tents everywhere, migrants lining up, and it's honestly pretty sad, right? First of all, I feel bad for the migrants as well. New York City took in way too many people. So many people to the point that many migrants, frankly, are not getting even good care. You already have a bunch of illegal underground shelters being busted with like 80 people in like a tiny little basement. And also, New York taxpayers getting basically fleeced and getting nothing in return. This is the new New York City, something that many people are very furious about. And by the way, if you guys don't care about the migrant crisis at all, then you should probably care about this because this is your money in the works. New York City taxpayers fleeced out of millions of dollars under no-bid contracts. Now, what do you mean by no-bid contracts, and how are these taxpayers so-called fleeced? Well, what if I told you that security guards are getting paid $1,500 per shift? It's like 48 hours. They're getting paid more than some doctors in New York City. And yes, I said $1,500 per day. Not a week, not a month, a day. And not to mention blankets, food, and everything else. The itty bitty stuff are just so expensive. They spent $5.7 billion on these no-bid contracts, all rushed. And is there anything to show for it? No. Let me tell you how much $5.7 billion is. You could literally buy all these different condos, all these different buildings and townhouses in Park Slope, and basically rent them out or make them into migrant shelters. But instead, they spent $5.7 billion on super duper overpriced contracts. And now New York City just becoming a massive shelter, massive migrant hub with almost 200,000 people. They're going broke. Many rich Americans, many hedge funds, and many billionaires and upper class, they're all leaving New York City. Guys, so many companies are no longer picking New York as their destination. They're going to Miami, they're going to Vegas, they're going to Toronto. People don't want to stay here anymore. Not to mention, this is very unpopular among the New York City counties. Only 5 of 62 counties are now accepting migrants through New York City's migrant relocation program. City council and city officials in many different counties are not having it. They said, you, New York City, asked for this. We didn't. You're a sanctuary city, and we're not going to be part of this. And this is happening everywhere in America. We're actually seeing a lot of people being sick and tired every single day of the migrant crisis. For example, in Denver, who has the most migrants per capita, they're going broke. They're cutting people's jobs. People are getting fired so they could cut some more money for the migrant crisis. Lakewood residents, which is a suburban city next to Denver, absolutely enraged. They voted no on the migrant crisis, and they don't want to do this. Their town is not mean. Their town is not being hateful. It's just they can't handle any sort of traffic. It's a small suburban town. What can they do, right? You're asking them to take in thousands of migrants. That's not really happening. Same thing happening in Park Slope. It's really not that big of a city, a neighborhood. It's just like brownstones, people just living there. It's like a very your basic, average, nice suburban area in New York City. And I don't think residents there will like it if it just became a massive migrant shelter. And who knows for how long. Thanks for watching, guys. Comment below and see you later.